Welcome to the Classic Science Fiction channel. In our previous episode, we explored the origins of Star Trek, the original series, and took a deep dive into its groundbreaking first season. Now it's time to journey into Season 2, a year filled with bold ideas, iconic episodes, and evolving characters. Shall we begin?
Absolutely. And today, we're taking that deep dive into Season 2 of Star Trek, the original series. Our mission, like you said, is to really unpack the sources you've shared with us, pull out the most important insights. We want to focus on that amazing mix of fan favorites, how the characters grew, changed, and that unique production stuff that shaped this really iconic year. So what are the key things jumping out from these sources?
Well, Season 2 is fascinating because, even though the quality could be a bit up and down, maybe even disjointed sometimes, the sources show it was just pivotal for the whole franchise.
Okay.
And a lot of that actually came down to having 3 different producers involved. Gene L. Coon, John Meredith Lucas, and Gene Roddenberry himself.
3 producers, wow. Yeah, and each one brought their own style, their own sort of flavor to it. That's really why you see some of the absolute best episodes sitting right next to some less memorable ones.
Right, that makes sense. An inconsistent vision there.
Yeah.
So how did those different styles actually, show up on screen? Can you give us a feel for their signatures?
Definitely. So Kuhn, for example, he was really into the world building and experimenting with genre, pushing what Star Trek could actually be. Think about the episodes that felt bigger, established new lore.
Okay, the expansive ones.
Exactly. Then you had Lucas. His approach was maybe a bit more pulpy sci-fi, classic adventure stories, clearer good guys and bad guys.
Gotcha. Straight up action sometimes.
Kind of. And Roddenberry, well, he was still the main guy, but he was often busy working on what were basically backdoor pilots, ideas for other potential shows.
Ah, interesting. So maybe not always focused 100% on the Enterprise crew for that specific week.
That's the idea. So with that leadership shifting around, you didn't get one single consistent vision across all the episodes. It resulted in this unique, almost patchwork kind of feel to the season.
It's amazing then that despite all that sort of internal creative shuffling, Season 2 wasn't just liked, it was highly acclaimed.
Yeah.
The sources mention it won a Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation.
Yeah.
And the really wild part is all 5 nominees that year were Star Trek episodes.
I know. Can you imagine?
It's just unprecedented, right?
Yeah.
For one show to dominate like that, what does that tell us about its impact even back then?
It tells us that, look, despite the chaos behind the scenes, the core ideas of Star Trek, the characters, they were just incredibly strong, resilient.
Yeah.
And that Hugo win, it wasn't just an award. It signaled this huge shift.
Yeah.
Suddenly, serialized TV, especially sci-fi, was getting recognition from, prestigious literary awards.
Right. That's a big deal.
It totally legitimized the genre in a way nobody had really seen before. It proved these ideas were hitting home with critics and the audience.
And speaking of hitting home, Season 2 really dug deeper into the characters, didn't it?
Yeah.
Pushed them into new places. Spock's whole internal conflict, his Vulcan identity, that really came to the forefront.
Oh, absolutely. And nowhere more powerfully than Amok Time. I mean, wow. Here's this character fans thought they knew.
Totally logical, controlled.
Right. And suddenly he's acting completely out of character, these intense rages. You immediately knew something profound was going on.
Yeah, what has happened to Spock?
And then the reveal of Pon farr, this Vulcan mating cycle, the whole marriage or challenge tradition, it was our first real deep dive into Vulcan culture.
It added so much texture.
It really did. And Leonard Nimoy's performance, just incredible. Showing Spock's turmoil, that desperate need for release, just brilliant.
And that moment, that tiny moment when he sees Kirk is alive, and he calls him Jim with that huge smile. It's so brief, he shuts it down immediately, but wow.
Such a rare crack in the Vulcan facade. It sticks with you.
Definitely. And then you could contrast that with Mirror, Mirror. Even the evil Spock, the Mirror Spock. His core logic, maybe even a sense of honor, it's still there somehow. Kirk can actually appeal to his reason.
Which is pretty profound, isn't it? When you think about it, even in that brutal Terran Empire where, killing your boss is how you get promoted.
Standard procedure.
Even there, fundamental traits like logic can survive. It shows how Star Trek always explored the nuances, even with evil twins.
And that mirror universe concept itself, iconic. Spock's goatee became instant shorthand for evil twin.
Totally. And they kept going back to it, didn't they? Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, Discovery. It just shows the storytelling power of that idea. It really lasted.
Kirk, too, he seemed to evolve as a leader in Season 2. Like in the Doomsday Machine, His command just feels so solid. He takes over the crippled constellation, faces down that terrifying planet killer.
Yeah, and he feels the loss of Commodore Decker, that tragedy. But he's still determined to use Decker's desperate idea effectively. It shows that pragmatic heroism.
But he also struggled, right? Like with technology. The ultimate computer. That episode really explored the human side of things, when he gets called Captain Dunsel.
Oof, yeah, a Dunsel, a useless part. That hits Kirk right where he lives, his pride, his identity.
It really makes you think about, well, human purpose when machines get better and better. That fear of being replaced.
It's a core Trek theme, isn't it? And Kirk also wrestled with some heavy personal guilt. In Obsession, he gets almost dangerously fixated on destroying that gaseous creature.
Because he thinks he caused Ensign Garavic's death years ago.
Exactly. Driven by that mistaken guilt. It's a really intense look at how past trauma can mess with your judgment, even for a starship captain. Pushes him right to the edge.
And through all this, you have McCoy, the sort of ethical compass. The sources bring up the devil in the dark here, even though it aired in season 1.
Right, but it's such a perfect example of McCoy's viewpoint.
His compassion, yeah. Advocating for the Horta, that silicon-based life form, killing it a crime against science.
That line says it all, doesn't it? His medical ethics, his deep value for life and understanding, even when it's totally alien.
And his role in Obsession, being there for Kirk, vouching for his emotional state, it just shows that caring side.
Yeah.
Always looking out for his friends.
Yeah, the country doctor looking after his crew.
So these character arcs, they're woven into some of the absolute classic episodes, many from season 2. We mentioned Amok Time and Mirror Mirror already, but let's hit a few more.
Oh, definitely. The Doomsday Machine. That's just pure sci-fi adventure, high stakes, Commodore Decker's slide into madness, his sacrifice.
And Kirk's crazy plan to fly the constellation into the planet killer.
Exactly. It's just brilliant tension, pure determination, a total classic.
And then on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you've got The Trouble with Tribbles.
Yeah. Tribbles.
It's just so funny. And beloved even by people who aren't huge sci-fi fans, right? That accessible comedy, poking fun at bureaucracy.
And those furry little things just multiplying everywhere. It's got such a lasting impact. I mean, Deep Space Nine doing trials and tribulations. That tells you everything about its legacy.
It really does. Season 2 also kept expanding the universe, didn't it? Beyond just the action, Journey to Babel comes to mind.
Ah, yes. A great one. Important for introducing key Federation species like the Andorians and Tellarites, laying more groundwork for the bigger galaxy we saw later.
Building the Federation piece by piece.
Yeah, but it also got really personal, didn't it? Exploring Spock's relationship with his parents, Sarek and Amanda, adding that family drama layer to all the high-stakes diplomacy.
It's fascinating how the season kept bringing in these imaginative new aliens and civilizations, and often using them to explore deeper stuff, moral questions.
Totally. Beyond the Horta and Nomad, you had encounters like the Krieg in Friday's Child challenging Federation neutrality, or the Providers in Gamesters of Triskelion treating people like game pieces.
Cruel stuff.
Yeah. And the season kept showing the Federation trying to do diplomacy, too. Like in A Taste of Armageddon, with that bizarre war-by-computer simulation idea.
Weird.
And Errand of Mercy, those tense peace talks with the Klingons. Always pushing those boundaries.
And Star Trek was just so ahead of the curve, tackling big societal issues, like a private little war. That's a pretty clear Cold War metaphor, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Klingons arm one side on a primitive planet, and Kirk makes this really impassioned argument for arming the other side. He even explicitly talks about mutually assured destruction. Mad.
Which was heavy stuff for TV in the late 60s.
Yeah.
Wrestling with that idea that maybe the only way to stop a war is to make it too horrific to start.
It was bold. Now, there is some criticism, that the episode kind of, wimps out at the end, as one source puts it. It implies peace might happen, despite arguing so strongly for what some saw as a pro-Vietnam War stance at the time. So its ultimate message is maybe a bit debated.
Yeah, complex. And then there's the ultimate computer again, that exploration of AI and identity with the M5 unit.
Right, the AI that takes over the ship commits murder. And we find out it has Daystrom's engrams, basically his memories and personality patterns imprinted on it.
That was incredibly forward-thinking for 1968. Dealing with fears of automation, job loss, anxiety about being replaced, McCoy and Kirk voiced that really powerfully.
Yeah, and Spock has that great line, "Computers make excellent servants, but I have no wish to serve under them."
Perfect summation of the Trek philosophy, right? Technology helps humanity, it doesn't replace it.
Exactly. And the questions that episode asked back then about, ethical AI programming, the emotional toll on people whose jobs disappear because of machines, I mean, they're even more relevant today, aren't they?
Scarily so. The season also kept playing with classic sci-fi concepts, too. Time travel, for instance. Okay, City on the Edge of Forever was season 1, the big one.
The absolute classic, yeah.
But season 2 had its own takes, like Tomorrow is Yesterday, where they accidentally zip back to 1969. Leads to some fun, some tense moments with Earth's past.
Yeah, bumping into the U.S. Air Force. And artificial life forms kept popping up too, not just M5 and Nomad this season. But Trek overall often had androids, synthetic beings making us question what alive really means.
True, and the tech. The sources mention how they depicted real gadgets that were pure sci-fi then, but common now. Flat-screen TVs, video calls.
Teleconferencing, yeah. And advanced lie detectors. Plus, more far-out stuff like starship cloaking devices made their debut then, pushing what audiences thought was possible.
Star Trek always had that social commentary edge, too, even if it sometimes reflected the times in ways we might find outdated now. Season 2, for example, it could reinforce some old-fashioned female stereotypes.
It definitely did at times.
But it also pushed back against sexism, didn't it? Through Uhura, Nurse Chapel, even guest stars like Marlena in Mirror Mirror.
It's a mixed bag, and you gotta see it in the context of the 1960s. Like, one source mentions this critique of Kirk's line in Metamorphosis, another season 1 episode, but relevant thematically, where he says gender is a universal constant about some energy being.
Yeah, that sounds weird today.
Right. It feels anachronistic now. It shows that even with its progressive ideals, the show was still a product of its era in some ways. But then you have Uhura, still a crucial bridge officer, defying so many expectations for women back then.
Definitely. Despite those occasional bumps, though, Season 2's blend, the commentary, the characters, the wild plots, it really helped Star Trek become more than just some short-lived 60s show. It rocketed into being a cult thing in the 70s and then, the whole franchise.
And the fan reaction was just off the charts, unprecedented. NBC got over 100,000 letters during that 67-68 season, a huge chunk of that thanks to Bijo Trimble's amazing campaign to save the show.
That letter-writing campaign is legendary.
It really is. It shows how deeply these episodes, especially from season 2, connected with people, why they fought so hard for it. And the iconic moments from this season, Spock saying, "Live long and prosper," Kirk buried in Tribbles, mirror Spock's goatee.
Instantly recognizable stuff.
They just burned themselves into pop culture, became shorthand for sci-fi. It's no wonder the Smithsonian asked for a Star Trek film print for their collection during season 2. They recognized its cultural weight even then.
Looking back behind the curtain, that impact of the 3 producers really explains the season's ups and downs, doesn't it?
It makes sense of the variety.
And the fan conversations that continue today reflect that. Everyone agrees Amok Time is phenomenal, right?
Yep.
But then you get debates about episodes like the Omega Glory. Is it terrible? Is it so bad it's good? But it's still part of the story.
Exactly. And that fan engagement wasn't just watching. Think about Pon farr. That concept directly fueled the rise of fan fiction.
Really? How so?
Well, it gave fans this framework, this believable reason to explore Spock's inner life, his relationships, things that might otherwise just seem like wish fulfillment. It showed how deeply fans were digging into the characters and the lore themselves.
Wow, that's a cool connection.
Yeah. And ultimately, that passionate fan base, combined with the critical buzz like the Hugos, despite the internal production struggles, that's what convinced NBC to give it a season 3, even if it was in a terrible time slot. This season really locked Star Trek into place.
So wrapping up this deep dive, season 2 feels absolutely pivotal for Star Trek.
Yeah.
It really cemented the show's identity, gave us those unforgettable classics, but also kept pushing us to think about humanity and what the future might hold.
Absolutely. And considering how season 2 tackled things like AI, war, how societies are structured, themes that are still so relevant, maybe more than ever it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other issues from back then, maybe ones we've overlooked, is Star Trek still kind of nudging us to think about today? And maybe how can its vision keep influencing us as we try to build that more peaceful, just, and humane future it dreamed of?